And my guest again, criminal defense attorney and former assistant state attorney and the attorney for Jussie Smollett, Tamara Walker. Tamara, again, thank you so much for being with me this evening. Truly appreciate it. And you know, we heard some very interesting testimony. Again, I thought a fairly good job on cross and recross there. Want to get your thoughts on Dr. Wood's testimony and where it sort of leaves us in terms of this insanity defense.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me again. I really enjoy every time that I'm here. So to get to your question, I think her testimony was outstanding. As an expert, sometimes it can be hard to convey to people exactly, your area of expertise, exactly why the evidence is relevant to that particular trial. And I thought she did a really good job of breaking those things down. I think also that, I agree, her testimony definitely can be argued by both sides, but I think what's interesting is the point about Reinking fleeing after the incident. To me, that's something that I would hammer on huge as a prosecutor.
Yeah, that fleeing is important because I think one of the things that I think is confusing to me and might be confusing to this jury is I think she was pretty clear that, and we saw this on direct as well as cross, that he was aware that what these voices in his head were telling him to do was wrong. He knew that going in there and shooting those people would end up wrong. It wasn't something he was supposed to be doing. But my understanding from her testimony is that that urge, he could not resist the voices in his head. He had to do it. And therefore, while he could understand the nature of his actions, he could not resist acting upon these voices in his head. So again, under the model penal code, where does that kind of leave us in terms of insanity? What are we arguing as defense attorneys when we want to say, hey, this guy was insane and you should not find him guilty?
Oh, that's a great question. So as a defense attorney, the argument is simply, he could not appreciate his actions in that time, and or, to me in this case, you have an and or, which is his psychosis was so far gone that he could not appreciate the fact that he couldn't say no. And to me, that's the important distinction. For the defense to make the argument, it would have to be twofold. It'd have to be he could not withstand the voices, and then once he carried it out, he could appreciate the fact that it occurred. And, I guess that's the nature of psychosis. You'd have to obviously craft that very well with your experts, and they did start to lay that groundwork.
All right, I agree with you. And at the end of the day, that again is going to be the difficult part for this jury to figure out whether in fact he could truly understand his actions and whether it was enough that these voices basically forced him to do what he did. All right, stand by, Tamara. We're going to take a quick break.